everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Natalie, aka at Bigger Reading. I hope you are all well, I hope you're all fine, and now we are on to this book, which was the final book I read all the way through on my readathon that I did with some people I know. I also started this book, obviously didn't finish it because the readathon, as of the time of filming this video, was a week ago. And I've only just gotten near the end. Yeah, so I am reviewing The Shelf by Helly Acton. I originally read this back in March and decided to reread it on like my TBR car. And when I read it in March, I absolutely loved it. Reread it again, obviously, and still absolutely loved it. One sentence out. Amy is dumped by her ex Jamie and is entered by him in the reality show The Shelf, where she meets 5 other women as they go on a journey in which they find out more about themselves than before. That sentence doesn't really do the book justice. Like, I don't think it does a really good job of summing up the plot, so I'll read out the blurb. Everyone in Amy's life seems to be getting married, having children and settling down, or so Instagram tells her. She feels like she's falling behind, so when her long-term boyfriend surprises her with a dream holiday, she thinks he's going to finally pop the big question. Hint, he doesn't. But the dream turns into a nightmare when instead she finds herself on the set of a Big Brother-style reality television show, The Shelf. Along with 5 other women, Amy is heartlessly dumped live on TV and must compete in a series of humiliating and obnoxious tasks in hope of being crowned the keeper. And it is so good, this book. Quick reading log before I get into the notes and my thoughts and that. Again, with the notes, there will be spoilers. Sorry about that. Reading log started 9th of May, finished 9th of May. Mainly because it's a short book, so it's like a nice quick read, and it was quite a nice palate cleanser after Air of Fire. So notes. Also, before I do that, this is like a perfect beach read. It is absolutely a perfect beach. Notes. The thing that I put from the first few chapters, I noticed Amy seemed very lonely despite being in a relationship. Like, Jamie really, my next note is, Jamie is a fucking cunt and pure and utter trash. So, she has that as a boyfriend, and he doesn't really pay attention to her, he doesn't value her as a person and that. So, Amy seemed very lonely at the start, and I think Helly Acton did like and it genuinely, her name is Helly, not Holly. I thought that at first, but no, it's actually Helly. Helly Acton did a very, very good job at writing Amy's loneliness. Which is like, you know, sometimes in books like this, they like a character's lonely, but they'll just brush it aside. Helly made it the main focus for Amy, was her loneliness, which I found really cool, because sometimes I can be in a room full of people I know, some of my friends and that, and I can feel like the loneliest person in the world, which is what Amy feels like sometimes, and I thought Helly did a very good job of bringing that across. Next thing, I genuinely did feel really bad for Amy, because she doesn't deserve any of it. Like, she didn't deserve to be humiliated on live TV because her boyfriend's trash. When you read it, you'll understand why I think Jamie's absolute trash. Another thing on Jamie, I wrote, can I strangle Jamie and all the people behind this reality show? Because nobody, like, it's just, like, not a good reality show. Like, Helly does a very good job of bringing across how sexist some of these shows can be. Like, I'll hold my hand up. I absolutely love Love Island. Like, I genuinely really enjoy it. I can't wait for the next series to start, hopefully in June, next month, I think. But I will admit, it can be incredibly sexist at times, or it doesn't put women or some of the men in that aspect in the best light. Some of it you can tell it's like been staged and that, like they've been told to do that by a producer, and I think some of them have come out, like previous contestants have come out and said, yeah, sometimes I think so, I'm not too sure. Sometimes they were given pointers by producers, but it doesn't set a good standard for women. And Helly does a fantastic job of showing that with the shelf, which is really cool. I put, on the topic of me wanting to strangle people, I want to strangle the people judging this baby challenge, which is which I think I have a feeling Helly took from Love Island, because that's like quite a famous challenge in Love Island. The baby challenge. I put in all caps, "Moms are allowed to bloody cry, you emotionless robot Clarissa." Because one of the judges of the baby challenge is a woman called Clarissa. One of the girls, I think it was Gemma or the Kathy, who's the eldest one there. She's like I know she's definitely over 55. I think she's like in her early 60s, just about to hit her 60s. I can't remember who it was. It was either Gemma or Kathy was holding the baby, obviously, like that. The baby's crying and they're crying, and Clarissa comes out with, oh, she shouldn't be crying near the baby because babies pick up on negative energy. Like, what the fuck? Like I said, that person is an emotionless robot. I was like, that bit, like, really angered me, because, like, mums are allowed to cry. Like, God knows how many times I've seen my mum cry, and my nan cry, and my aunt cry, and my cousin. My cousin, actually no, my cousin isn't a mum, but she wants to be a mum. Yeah. It's perfectly normal for them to cry, Clarissa. I'm speaking as if Clarissa's a real person, but that's a testament to how good the writing is for this book. I loved all the women on the shelf. I think Amy, Kathy, Gemma, Jackie. There's also a nice epilogue where there's Amy, Jackie, Gemma, Hattie, Lauren, Kathy, and Flick. I loved all of them because they all felt like real human beings. Like, they felt like they were coming off the page and actually real. Because, you know, sometimes like men are infamous for not writing great female characters, and even sometimes women can't write women, unfortunately. But Helly did a very good job of making them feel real, making them have flaws which made them feel like actual human beings. They did. You also meet like their exes and that, because they're the ones that nominated them from the shelf. I think my favourite ones were Gemma and James. No, Jamie is. I can't remember Gemma's partner. Jason, that's it. Gemma and Jason, they're the only ones that get back together or stay together by the end of the season, because Gemma's a fitness influencer, and Jason puts her in because he talked to her parents and they were all agreed she's way too involved with her phone, like she's way too focused on this. And they actually end up staying together, and also you find out in the 3rd week that Gemma's pregnant with their baby as well, which is like, aww. And I like, again, they felt like real human beings. Like you could definitely tell, like, Gemma and Jason absolutely love each other, and Jason just wants what's best for Gemma and wants her to do well, but she was way too focused on being an influencer, so he was like, I'm putting you in this reality show for your own good, and kind of worked. It did. Like, they still stay together, and I think Gemma comes out like way less focused on being an influencer. I love that. Obviously Amy's the winner. She starts an online site with all the girls, and they're all doing different things. Like Gemma's on fitness, and she's also, with her prize money, Amy had invested in Gemma's gym called Gymmer. I just love that. Oh, I loved that so much. It was so sweet. As I was saying about the exes, and that you're in Flick, who's kind of like this archetypal housewife. You think she's going to be a bit of a two-dimensional character, but then you find out more about her. You find out she's actually really intelligent. Like, she's really smart. She used to be a paediatrician and was the head of like a paediatrics place. Her ex Simon comes along. You find out Simon is a divorced man. Flick absolutely adores him, but he's a bit of a sexist cunt. Like, Flick, he kind of like Flick gives up her job, gives up everything for her, even though technically Flick was superior to him. Like, Flick was Simon's superior. Now, like, Simon's taken over and Simon even admits to Amy that he doesn't want to marry Flick, he doesn't want to have a family with her, because he's already had that and he doesn't want that again. And he's never told Flick that. And he does it in quite a cunt-ish way. He says that to Amy. And when I read that, and I think even Amy felt it as well, I felt so bad for Flick, because that's all she wants, is to have a family and to be happy and to be with somebody she loves. And she's wasted all this time on an arsehole who doesn't want that, basically wants a living maid. But yeah, Simon and Jamie, absolute worst. I hate them. There's a character in this called Jackie who becomes like Amy's best friend. They all get letters like towards the end, like the ones that are still there, of their families and that, from their families, and Jackie gets an adorable letter from her dad. And when I first read this book, and slightly when I read it the second time round, it made me cry. Like, the letter is just so adorable. It's so good. Jackie and Flick don't really get along when they first meet, when they're first introduced, and like slightly, and then they have a conversation towards the end of the book, because they're like some of the last ones left. If there's ever, I think this will be perfect for TV adaptation, literally, because it's like, that alone could be like the beginning. This bit here could be the beginning of the first episode, and this is like the first episode. It's like split into 3 weeks plus the finale. If there's ever like a TV adaptation of this book, I really, really want to see Jackie and Flick's conversation, because you could talk about so much with their conversation. Like, Flick is like the embodiment of old housewife values, and that Jackie is black and is like the polar opposite of Flick, which is why they kind of butt heads when they first meet. I want to see that conversation, because you could deal with so many topics just with Jackie. I was about to call her Flacky, because I was about to say Flick at the same time. Jackie and Flick, like, you could talk about so much just between them two. So, like, if there's ever an adaptation of this, I would love to see that conversation, because it could be such a good conversation. And that's it for my thoughts on that. I'm also really glad that Amy won. Like, I thought she deserved it. I felt completely heartbroken for Flick because she starts doing a speech and then basically says to Simon, who's in the crowd obviously, "Will you marry me?" And she has, this is all told from Amy's point of view. Apparently Flick had 2 speeches prepared and Amy sees the card. Simon doesn't say anything. He's like, "Oh, we'll talk about this when we get out." And Flick's like, "No, I want an answer." And he walks off. So it's quite heartbreaking. Flick had 2 speeches prepared and Amy sees one of them fall to the ground and says, "If he said yes." And I felt really bad for Flick because that must be so devastating. Like, the guy, like, granted he isn't a good guy, but the Flick was genuinely in love with him, and he does that to her, and I was just like, oh god, poor Flick. Yeah, that bit makes me quite sad. Oh, one final thing. Jackie, one that I believe that's her on the cover there. Jackie's amazing. She's like one of the best characters in this book. She's so strong as well. Final rating, 5 out of 5 stars. No surprise if you've listened to all of that. I genuinely, one of my favourite reads of this year. Absolutely one of my favourite reads of the year, if not my favourite so far. I loved it so much. Definitely gonna reread this again in the future. Definitely taking it with me to uni. I love it so much. See you guys. So that's it for this video. See you guys soon. Hope you're all well. Hope you stay safe. Read loads of books. Don't pull a muscle putting your legs with your slippers on, because I did that and my leg still hurts. So yeah. See you guys soon. Bye bye.